Hey everyone, JSD Cool here, and welcome to another episode of Coolcraft Season 2. Now, in the last episode, we did some minor base work that took me way too long to do, and I kind of just got bored. I probably shouldn't have made that an episode, but nevertheless, we got, besides redstone torches, which I totally forgot about, we stocked ourselves up with lots and lots of redstone supplies, probably enough for the foreseeable future. Now, in addition, towards the very end of the last episode, we also took a little bit of a trip over to the Wither Skeleton Farm / Nether Fortress farm that we made a while back. And we made a proper tunnel entrance to it. Now, however, in between episodes, I have done some adjustments to said tunnel. So first of all, I made this ceiling here, the glass ceiling here, a little bit higher, so you don't, if you're walking down the stairs, you don't bump your head. But this looks a lot different than it did at the very end of the last episode. So, obviously, the first thing that it is that this is not some scrapped together tunnel. This is a proper-ish nether tunnel that is properly decorated. Now, this isn't decorated, but I can't be bothered to do that. So we got bone block walls, but actually, my whole idea with this was that I was going to locally source most of the materials for this in the nether. Obviously, the only thing that was not locally sourced was the purpur for the end rods, but everything else was either sourced in the farm or from around the farm. Like all this nether brick, which was sourced from me taking apart the nether fortress that I built this thing in. Anyhow, so we got bone block walls, coal blocks in the ceiling right above these ender rods here, and then the floor is this interesting pattern of stairs, or nether brick stairs. Now, I specifically attempted to design this in such a way where it was stairs, so mobs can't spawn on it, which was the main reason behind this, but I also wanted to make it as an interesting pattern that you also wouldn't be going up and down and up and down and up and down on, like, you know, you probably would. So, as you can see, there's nothing in the fault here, and you know, it even makes this interesting pattern. It's not just like, hey, there's a thing in the middle and then stuff on the sides. And that's pretty cool. Also, there is no other way to access the outside of the nether, so you're kind of sealed in now. Anyhow, so now we have the staircase that goes further down to the actual killing chamber of the farm itself. Now, down here, the floor is just slabs as it was, but I have also decorated this area with the walls being bone blocks. Same thing as the ceiling and just the floor. Haven't touched any of this, and I have also done some extra spawn proofing in between episodes. But also, I did a little bit of an update to the collection system and storage system. So now there's a proper entrance here, and as I was locally sourcing materials, I decided to use gold for the floor, since gold heavy weighted pressure plates are, actually no, these are the light ones, right? Yeah, light-weighted pressure plates. So, since light-weighted pressure plates are a thing, I was like, why not? This can spawn-proof the area, and, you know, gold looks interesting. Interesting. Yes, and, so yeah, I decided to make the floor out of this. It looks very tacky and clicky. But, yes, as you can see, I've also decorated the area down here, which it looks nice, apart from all the glowing blocks, which I will remove after I feel satisfied with my spawn proofing around here. I currently do not feel 100% satisfied, as I did go back and find some caves that have not been completely spawn proofed. But yeah, now on to what we're actually going to be doing today in this episode. Alright, so today in this episode, we are hopefully going to be getting back here to work in the new farming dome later in the episode. But, for now, we have a little something to do with these. Bam! Yes, I have had a wave of inspiration and potentially regret hit me, as I have come up with a plan to place a whole bunch of beacons in the nether. Now, obviously there is literally, now this is mainly just to, you know, benefit me, because literally like nobody else on the server plays. But if they did play, they'd have the option to pay for optional beacon effects around our central nether area. Now, for those of you who don't know, our nether is quite interestingly laid out. It's laid out... Oh, fire. Ah! So the way our nether is currently laid out is we have over this way, we have the portal over here, which goes to spawn slash Apturns, I still don't know how to say his name, base, and we have the shopping district portal over that way. We then come over this way to have the portal to my base. We have the gold farm right over here. Slightly over this way, we have a portal to a village that we snagged a whole bunch of villagers from earlier in the season. And then over this way, we have the portal for JRD Cool's base. And our nether hub, or our nether this season, just happens to be laid out where we have this kind of centralized area, which we may or may not build another hub in the future for, or we, meaning me. But this is a pretty small area which connects everybody's base. So, and JRD Cool made the kind of statement a little while ago that he wanted to make beacon effects available along this ice road that goes from my base to his. So I thought, let's do that. And so I'm going to make there be several stations around the nether here where you can chuck a diamond in, or a season pass, if you will, which the said season pass will be purchasable for about 30 diamonds in the shopping district, and you will get these beacon effects everywhere in the nether hub. Now, the thing is, this will require a whole bunch of beacons, of which I have, I think, exactly enough nether stars for right here. But it also will require a huge synchronization network if it's going to be viable. So I did some testing with chunk loading, and I found out that inside of this, there is a chunk somewhere around here, which I'm now realizing I lost. But I believe it would be this chunk here, or this chunk, that is literally just on the edge of the render distance from the chunk that JRD Cool's portal's in to the chunk that the shopping district portal is in. So I'm going to use that in order to have a logical circuit in the chunk here that then controls the state of all the beacons everywhere else in this area, which you may have noticed as I'm flying around. There's this giant grid-like structure of oak planks and cobblestone up here. This is me. This was what I was doing a little bit in between episodes to plan out where each set of beacons is going to go to give us perfect coverages, but to only have coverage in, well, the central area here, but also in the area where we can still load the timer, as I have made sure to make this end just at the end of the chunk. So if you go outside of the chunk here, which is painfully embarrassing, ran out of fireworks. So if you cross from this chunk here into this chunk here, the timer will instantly unload. And so, therefore, you will no longer receive the beacon effects here, and I made sure to do things on the same thing on the other side. Now, this is... I should really stop talking and get on with it, but I really want to explain my thing. So, I may have had a time... I may have had a time on the screen for which you can skip the explanation by now. But... so, you can go... So, this is only 3 beacons wide of a thing, because that's approximately where all the pathways are around here, and there's not much need to have much more than that. Hey, look, a pack of baby pigmen. Anyhow, I feel like I should crack on with actually making these nether stars into beacons and then placing those beacon bases down, which I may do the beacon base creation in a bit of a time lapse. So yeah, let's get into that. This is your grid statistics update. So, this grid of beacons is composed of 108 beacons, 4,392 iron blocks, which would be approximately 68 stacks of iron blocks. That's insane. And yeah, and I also may have placed the beacons at 50 blocks apart instead of 100 blocks apart. That may or may not have been my bad from when I was making the grid. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not like I care. I have a million beacons. I have essentially infinite beacons anyway, so it's not like it matters. Anyhow, yes, this time lapse is essentially over, so let's get you back right into the content right about now. Wow, isn't that glorious? Yes, we have done it, and I only time-lapsed me building like 6 beacons, and then I just got tired of continuously moving my alt account around and just decided, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna pop through and end up doing the rest of them, which took me like 6 hours to do anyway. But yes, this just looks amazing, how you can just fly through the nether here and just see all the beacon bases with the beacon beams, beaming beams, and I don't know. Anyhow, so yes, the beacons are currently just all set up to be light beams, which is pretty useless right now because there's just a lot of them and this is a fairly small area. Although, I do kind of want to show you what it looks like on top of the nether. Whoop, okay, that's good enough. Now, I do have beacons here by the gold farm, so you're going to be getting those effects, but as you can see on the top of the nether, it is just a whole bunch of beacon beams just coming out of the bedrock. This looks amazing. But yes, so yeah, now I've got to go and activate all the beacons with the proper effects, which will take a while, but way less time than actually putting in the beacons because I don't have to build gigantic bases. Make sure I'm in the correct place in the lava because there were a few beacons of which I placed them in the wrong place initially and then afterwards realized that. I also realized that I put way too many beacons in as, I mean, obviously these ones are close together because this has to be, like, at the edge of that portal's chunk, but, yeah, the rest of these are a little close together. Anyhow, yeah, let me get these all affected, and I'll be right back. And with that, all the beacons have had all effects, well, have had their effects applied. So, yeah, now, at the moment, you get free beacon effects. As long as you're in our nether hub area, the effect should be fine. Now we'll say if I go over this way to JRDCool's portal, whoop, and I turn on chunk boundaries. So, if I'm standing here, you see that I have the effects. Now, if I'm standing here, I should not get the effects refreshed. That is correct. Okay. And so from here, again, they get refreshed as I have tried to make sure everything is spaced out exactly right so that it happens like that. And now the same thing should happen over by the shopping district portal, because while I did make sure that while you're standing here in the chunk, you should get it, I wanted to make sure that this gas does not kill me first of all. I wanted to make sure that you can still get the effect here, and it appears that I have royally failed on that in that regard. Yeah, I'm just barely running out there. What about over here? Yeah, it looks like I have not done well on my placement of the beacons. So where does it, as long as you're at the shopping district portal, I guess it doesn't matter as there's nothing else over this way. Okay, yeah, so here it is. It's essentially like these last couple blocks here. So I thinking what I have done is I counted out the range of the beacon from, I've ran out of rockets, that's kind of annoying, but I counted out the range of the beacon from the chunk, and I accidentally just placed some of the beacon, like the first row of beacons, but not the second row of beacons in that area, so that's what happened there. Anyhow, what we need to do now is the time that we gotta start doing the redstone, and I have prepared this chunk here, or the bottom of this chunk here, to be where the timer goes. This is the chunk that is centrally located, at least I think it is, in the nether. Technically this chunk here would be the most centrally located, as it's right in the it's right next to this beacon, which is centrally located, which is the most centrally located on the grid, but this chunk is the chunk I'm actually going to be using. So yeah, it's time to get redstoning, and I might actually do a real time lapse of this. To be decided? TBD, whatever that is. Alright guys, so here's our first update. I have put pistons in on all of the beacons. Yeah, these are the pistons that will essentially be deactivating and activating the beacons once the system is activated, deactivated, etc, etc. I don't think this needs much explanation, but you know. Let's get on to actually doing the building of this, which is going to have a time lapse.
Time lapse music. 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 Ignore the blue wool. Time lapse music. Time lapse music. Time lapse music.
Okay, so this only took me about 15 minutes to build, and by the way, I believe I did put those hoppers there in the time lapse. They just didn't render for some weird reason, and I'm unsure about that. I've also filled this thing up with the maximum amount of items that essentially they can be filled up with, and this makes this hopper clock, I believe, last 4 minutes and 15 seconds. So let me explain how this entire circuit works here. I will maybe also, again, put up a skip explanation time if you just want to see what happens, which I don't blame you, as it might get a little long and wordy here. But so we can just start down here on the bottom layer where we have all these different lines of redstone that may be a little confusing. And I've color coded it. May have stolen the wool from e22, but I've color coded it, so it should be easier for you guys to understand. So the orange circuit is the general output circuit that will go to all the beacons to activate them. That's pretty simple. And then the green circuits are the input circuits that tell this thing, okay, we've received payment or confirmation that there has been some sort of payment for this. Go ahead and activate the thing. So the light green line, or the lime line here, is what will be activated if anybody has a season pass, which I have told you I have doing, and I've started drafting a book that will be handed out to the people so that counterfeiting is not an option. They could probably still just steal it from the shop, but whatever. Nobody plays, so nobody will buy it anyway. Whatever. Anyhow, so if from any direction, so I made sure there are inputs on all directions of this and outputs. So if there's, say, an input from that direction over there, or from e22's base, they all come in to meet in the same place. They will activate this dropper here, placing one of these items into here. And same goes for the dark green circuit here, which is just the paid by diamond option instead. And I will explain the reason why I've done this shortly. It'll activate this dropper here. So once either of these droppers are activated, it will unlock these hoppers here. Well, one of the hoppers, the other one will have the redstone block on it, obviously, and start this timer going. Once this clock does one full cycle and emits a pulse via this observer, I fell. Embarrassing. It will send a pulse through this redstone line to send one item back into the dropper. Now, the reason why we have separate things for this is so that one, so that it's possible to tell whether the current amount of time that is placed on the beacons has been paid for by somebody with a diamond or somebody with a membership. Because if I find that this thing is on for too long, what I might want to come over here and do is see, have they paid with a membership or I keep calling it a season pass. It's not a membership, it's a season pass. That's what I'm calling it. Or have they paid with diamonds? Because if they paid with diamonds, I'm just gonna leave it alone and let these things run down their time. But if they paid with a season pass, I might just come over here and manually reset the system, because I feel like they may be trying to cheat the system and give everybody free access to the beacons, because that is something that you can do here. Now, I've also made sure that it'll drain the diamonds first, so that if somebody does throw in like 5 diamonds and then like 2 passes, or 2 passes, then it'll deduct the 5 diamonds before it deducts the 2 passes. So that's a thing. And did that with this circuit here, simple. And also, once either of these is activated, it activates the output line of redstone here. Over wordy and complicated explanation, but that's how this whole timer system works. It is also contained within this chunk, so it should be loaded as long as you are inside the grid. Obviously, if you go outside the grid and unload this chunk, none of the redstone will stop running. The hoppers, the clock will just stop counting down. And so, obviously, that's a thing. Anyhow, now I think we're gonna go place in all the redstone lines that is going to go to all these pistons. So yeah, we'll see what we do. Alright everybody, so I have connected all the beacons and their pistons. Now on to the input systems. Alright. Oh, I've been recording this whole time. I might no, that's definitely gonna be cutting out. Yeah. So I have created the first input station. And yeah, there's redstone behind there. And I haven't made the books yet. I might just do that in the next episode. But you can throw diamonds in here so far, and it works. And you can see I got the redstone lines here running to the thing, and it's actually currently running off of the system is actually currently running off of my testing for this thing, so hopefully that works out well. Anyhow, yeah, I'm gonna do more of these. This is getting to be a long episode, so I gotta quickly get wrapping it up. Alright, and the final activation station is in. This took me a while to do, but yes, we have one over here. If we go back over towards my base, we have one right here. We have one over here by the exit to the gold farm. As you can see, we got one here. We also have one just down this way by this village portal here, and right over the not right over, chunk next to the clock. So that's good. And then we also have one over this way at e22's base, as you can see, or at the thing for e22's base. But yes, guys. Okay, this episode is getting kind of long, and so I'm gonna say sorry I did not get to actually building any of the farms in the farming dome in my base. This project has taken a bunch longer than I was thinking it was going to take. But yeah, I'm going to, so yeah, we are going to be wrapping this project up in the next episode. But for now, I'm gonna say thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Check out the Discord linked in the description, and I will see you all in the next episode of Cool Craft. Bye.